I was sitting on my couch scrolling through Instagram when I saw it. My brother Tyler standing at an altar with his fiancée Sarah, surrounded by flowers that probably cost more than my monthly rent. 200 smiling guests in formal attire watched as they exchanged vows under an elaborate arch decorated with orchids, her favorite. My thumb froze mid-scroll. This was the small, intimate ceremony he'd told me about? The one he wished he could invite me to but couldn't because they were keeping it minimal? The same wedding he'd asked me to help fund his honeymoon for instead of attending, because experiences matter more than ceremonies. Funny how I wasn't part of either the ceremony or the experience. That I guess I should back up and explain how I ended up financing my own exclusion from what appeared to be the social event of the season in our hometown. Tyler and I were never the closest growing up. 5 years apart, different interests, different friends, the usual sibling story. But we weren't enemies either. When our dad died 3 years ago, we actually grew closer, checking in on each other more, making sure mom was doing okay. I thought we turned a corner in our relationship. Last year, Tyler met Sarah at a charity gala. She worked for the nonprofit hosting the event. He was there representing his law firm. According to him, it was love at first sight. Within 6 months, they were engaged. I was happy for him. Sarah seemed great on the few occasions I met her, though something about her always felt a little calculated to me. Maybe it was the way her smile never quite reached her eyes when she looked at me, or how she'd subtly redirect conversations away from our family history. 3 months ago, Tyler called me, excitement bubbling through the phone. "Ben, we've set a date. October 15th. That's awesome. Do I need to book a flight home?" I'd moved to Seattle for work 2 years ago, while Tyler and Sarah stayed in our hometown of Chicago. There was a slight pause. Actually, we're keeping it really small. Just immediate family and a few close friends at the courthouse. Then a simple dinner after. I felt that familiar pang, the one I'd felt throughout childhood when Tyler would exclude me from his activities. But I pushed it aside. We were adults now. "Oh, I guess I figured I'd be included in immediate family," I said, trying to keep my voice light. "You absolutely are family, Ben. It's just, Sarah's parents are covering most of the wedding, and they have a strict budget. You understand, right?" He sounded genuinely apologetic. "But hey, we were thinking, instead of a wedding gift, would you maybe help us with our honeymoon? Sarah's always dreamed of going to the Maldives, and with what I make at the firm now, we can cover most of it, but..." I cut him off. "How much do you need? 5,000 would be amazing. But honestly, whatever you can spare would help. $5,000. That was nearly all of my emergency savings. But Tyler was my only brother, and if I couldn't be at his wedding, at least I could give them a memorable honeymoon. "I can do 5,000, I said. "Seriously? Ben, that's incredible. You have no idea what this means to us." The genuine gratitude in his voice made me feel good. Like maybe this was how brothers showed love when they grew up. Actions, not just presents. The next week, I transferred the money. Tyler sent me a text with a dozen exclamation points and heart emojis. Sarah sent a formal thank you note on expensive stationery. Life continued as the wedding date approached. I sent occasional texts asking if they needed help with anything. The answers were always the same. Everything was under control. The small ceremony was coming together nicely. They were so grateful for my contribution to their honeymoon. On the actual wedding day, I sent a heartfelt message to both of them in the morning. Tyler replied with a quick, "Thanks, bro." Sarah didn't respond at all. I figured they were busy. I ordered takeout that night, made a toast to them with my beer, and went to bed early. The next morning, I was drinking coffee and idly scrolling through Instagram when I saw it. Not just one photo, but dozens. A massive wedding at one of Chicago's most exclusive venues. 200 guests minimum. A 5-tier cake. A band. A string quartet for the ceremony. Professional lighting. The works. And there, in perfectly filtered splendor, was everyone. Everyone. My cousins I hadn't seen in years. My high school friends who still lived in Chicago. Mom's book club ladies. Tyler's colleagues. Sarah's extended family. Tyler's college roommates, one of whom had apparently flown in from Japan for the occasion. But not me. Not the brother who had emptied his savings account for their honeymoon. Why coffee grew cold as I scrolled through more photos. each one a fresh slap in the face. There was Mom, looking elegant in a blue dress I'd never seen before, dancing with Tyler. There were the groomsmen, 6 of them, none of whom were me. There was even our childhood neighbor, Mr. Peterson, who used to yell at us for cutting through his yard, smiling and raising a champagne glass, and my hands started shaking so badly I nearly dropped my phone when I came across a photo of the wedding program. Printed at the bottom, Tyler and Sarah wish to express their deepest gratitude to Sarah's parents, James and Linda Miller, for making this dream wedding possible. The Millers had paid for the wedding? Then what was my money actually funding? I called my mother immediately. Mom, what the hell is going on? Why wasn't I invited to Tyler's wedding? There was a long pause. What do you mean, honey? Tyler said you couldn't make it. He told everyone you had an important work conference that couldn't be rescheduled. The room seemed to tilt sideways. He told you I couldn't make it? Yes. He seemed really disappointed. He kept saying how much he wished you could be there. Her voice faltered. Ben, are you saying you didn't know about the wedding? He told me it was a small courthouse ceremony with just a few people. He said I wasn't invited because they were keeping it minimal. He asked me for money for their honeymoon instead. The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. How much? Mom finally asked, her voice hard in a way I'd rarely heard. $5,000. She swore, something my mother almost never did. That makes no sense. Sarah's parents spent a fortune on this wedding. At least $50,000, from what I could tell. When are they leaving for their honeymoon? I asked, an idea forming in my mind. Tomorrow morning, I think. They're going to the Maldives for 2 weeks. After hanging up with Mom, I did something I'd never done before. I called my bank and reported the transfer to Tyler as fraudulent. I told them I'd been deceived about the purpose of the funds and provided the Instagram evidence. The customer service rep was sympathetic but cautioned me that since I'd authorized the transfer, they might not be able to recover the funds. But we can certainly try, she said. At minimum, we can freeze the funds if they haven't been spent yet. I then did something even bolder. I logged into Tyler's email. Years ago, he'd given me his password when I needed to print something for him, and apparently he'd never changed it. I found their honeymoon itinerary. First-class flights, an overwater bungalow with a private pool, champagne service upon arrival, couples massages, private dinners on the beach. The total came to just over $15,000, with my contribution covering a significant chunk. And here was the kicker. The final payment for the package wasn't due until 24 hours before their departure, which meant my fraudulent $5,000 was still sitting in their account. Waiting to be processed, I sat back, my mind racing. Part of me wanted to confront Tyler immediately, to demand an explanation for why he'd lied to me, excluded me, used me. But another part, a colder, more calculating part one rarely acknowledged, wanted him to feel the same shock and betrayal I was feeling right now, so I waited. The next morning, I received a frantic call from Tyler. Ben, something's wrong with the honeymoon payment. The resort just called saying our final payment was declined, and now they're saying our reservation is canceled if we don't pay in full in the next hour. I took a deep breath. That's strange. Did you call the bank? Yes. They said the transfer from your account was reported as fraudulent and the funds are frozen pending investigation. His voice cracked with panic. Ben, I don't understand what's happening. We're supposed to be at the airport in 3 hours. I saw your wedding photos on Instagram, I said quietly. The line went so silent I thought he'd hung up. Ben, I can explain. 200 people, Tyler. A string quartet. A 5-tier cake. But no room for your brother. It wasn't my decision, he blurted. Sarah and her mother had this vision, and when I suggested inviting you, they said the guest list was already finalized. Sarah thought it would be awkward to have you fly in just for a day. So you lied to me? Told me it was a tiny courthouse wedding? Asked me for money under false pretenses? The money really was for the honeymoon. That part wasn't a lie. A honeymoon you could have easily afforded if you hadn't spent a fortune on the wedding you told me wasn't happening. My voice was eerily calm. Did you laugh about it? About how gullible I was? No. God, no, Ben. It wasn't like that. He sounded near tears. Things just spiraled with the wedding planning. Sarah's parents kept adding people. I felt caught in the middle. And what was your plan exactly? To come back from your honeymoon and pretend forever that your wedding had just been a small affair? Did you really think no one would ever mention it to me? He didn't answer. Where's Sarah now? I asked. She's upstairs packing. She doesn't know about the payment issue yet. His voice dropped to a whisper. Ben, please. I know I messed up badly. But if we don't go on this honeymoon, I don't know if my marriage will survive the first week. Sarah's been looking forward to this for months. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. You know what I was looking forward to? Seeing my only brother get married. Standing beside him on the most important day of his life. Being part of his family. I paused. I guess we're both disappointed. What if I pay you back right now? I can transfer the money immediately. It's not about the money, Tyler. Then what do you want me to do? Just tell me how to fix this. I thought about it. What did I want? An apology wouldn't erase the hurt. Money wouldn't buy back my inclusion in a day that had already passed. Nothing could undo what had happened. I want you to tell Sarah the truth. Right now, while I'm on the phone. Put me on speaker and tell her exactly what you did. Ben, please. That's my condition. I'll call the bank and withdraw the fraud claim if you come clean to Sarah right now. There was a long pause, then the sound of footsteps, a door opening. Sarah, can you come here for a minute? Tyler's voice sounded distant now. There's something I need to tell you. Ben's on the phone. I heard the click of speakerphone being activated, and then Sarah's voice. What's going on? We need to leave for the airport soon. There's a problem with the honeymoon payment, Tyler said, his voice shaking. The resort called. Our reservation is about to be canceled. What? How is that possible? Your brother gave us the money for it. That's the thing. I told Ben we were having a small courthouse wedding. I told him he wasn't invited because we were keeping it minimal. You what? Sarah's voice shot up an octave. I lied to him so he wouldn't feel bad about not being invited. And then I asked him for money for our honeymoon. Wait, back up. You told your brother, your only brother, that he wasn't invited to our wedding because it was too small? When we had 200 people there. Sarah, I can explain. Did I tell you to do this? Did I ever say I didn't want your brother at our wedding? There was a pause. No. So this was entirely your decision. To lie to your brother. To exclude him from our wedding. To take his money under false pretenses. Your mom said the guest list was finalized. And when I brought up Ben, you said it might be awkward to have him fly in just for a day. Because you told me he was busy with work. You said he probably couldn't make it anyway. So there was no point in sending him an invitation and making him feel guilty. I assumed you'd actually talk to him about it. I sat in stunned silence as their argument escalated. Sarah wasn't the villain in this story after all. My brother had lied to both of us. Ben. Sarah's voice suddenly addressed me directly. I am so sorry. I had no idea Tyler hadn't invited you. I would never have excluded you from our wedding. I don't even have words for how horrified I am right now. It's not your fault, I said, surprised to find I meant it. You didn't know. The honeymoon doesn't matter, she continued. What matters is making this right somehow. I don't know if that's even possible, but Tyler interrupted. The honeymoon does matter. We've been planning it for months. Ben, please, I admitted everything. I'll do whatever it takes to make it up to you later. But please don't ruin our honeymoon. There was a sound like someone had slapped a table. Are you serious right now? Sarah's voice had gone ice cold. Your brother just found out you deliberately excluded him from our wedding. Lied to him, essentially stole money from him, and your concern is still the honeymoon? Sarah, please, you don't understand. Oh, I understand perfectly. I just married a man who would throw his own brother under the bus to avoid a potentially uncomfortable conversation. A man who would lie to my face about his own family. What else have you lied about, Tyler? Their voices became muffled, as if someone had cupped a hand over the phone. I could hear them arguing but couldn't make out the words. Then there was a sound of a door slamming, and Tyler came back on the line, no longer on speaker. Ben, are you still there? I'm here. Sarah's upset. But I still need to know. Will you withdraw the fraud claim? Please? I'll pay you back as soon as we return. Double what you gave me. I sighed. You still don't get it, do you? What? This was never about the money. It was about being part of your life. Being respected enough to be told the truth. I do respect you. I just... Save it, Tyler. I'll call the bank. But not for you, for Sarah. She deserves that honeymoon after what you put her through today. And maybe 2 weeks away will give her time to decide if she really wants to stay married to someone who can lie so easily to the people who are supposed to matter most. Thank you, he whispered. And Ben, I truly am sorry. I know you are. But only because you got caught. I hung up, called the bank, and withdrew my fraud claim. The money went through and I assumed they made it to the Maldives. I didn't check social media to find out. Instead, I blocked both their accounts and took a break from all platforms for a while. 3 weeks later, I received a package. Inside was a check for $10,000, double what I'd given Tyler, and a letter. Not from my brother, but from Sarah. Dear Ben, I hope this letter finds you well. I'm writing to offer my deepest apologies for what happened with the wedding. While I didn't know what Tyler had done, I feel responsible for not making sure you were included in our special day. The enclosed check is from me, not Tyler. He doesn't know I'm sending this. Consider it a small attempt at making amends, though I know no amount of money can undo the hurt you've experienced. You should also know that Tyler and I have separated. What happened with you was, for me, a glimpse into a side of him I hadn't seen before or perhaps had ignored. It made me question everything about our relationship and his character. I've advised him to seek therapy to understand why he would betray his own brother this way. Whether or not we reconcile depends on many factors, but I wanted you to know that I value honesty and family, and I would never have gone through with the wedding had I known the truth. If you're ever in Chicago, I hope we might meet for coffee. I'd like to know the brother-in-law I should have had the chance to welcome properly into my family. With sincere regrets. Sarai sat holding that letter for a long time, feeling an odd mix of vindication and sadness. My relationship with Tyler would never be the same, but at least he was facing consequences for his actions. And perhaps, in time, those consequences would help him become a better person. As for the money, I donated $5,000 to a charity supporting foster siblings staying together through the adoption process. The other $5,000 went into a new emergency fund, one I hoped I'd never have to use against my own family again. Mom calls sometimes with updates. Tyler moved into a small apartment after Sarah asked him to leave their condo. He's in therapy twice a week. He's asked about me, about whether I might be willing to talk someday. I'm not ready yet. Maybe I never will be. But I've learned something valuable through all this. Sometimes family isn't defined by blood, but by honesty. And sometimes the most painful betrayals teach us the most important lessons about who we really are and who we want to be. If you've ever dealt with family betrayal or had to make a difficult decision that affected a relationship, share your experience in the comments below. How did you handle it? What did you learn? And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more real-life stories that explore the complicated dynamics of family, love, and the choices that define us.